Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another DOP. That is right. Welcome to our divisions, outlooks, and predictions from the middle of the order. My name is Steven, and how are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen? This is, if you're listening to this on the day that it is released, this is the second DOP. Today is all about the NL West. We're looking at the Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, and Rockies. If you missed, we've already done the AL East. Go and take a listen to that one as well. Get my predictions as well as what I think is going to be happening in that AL East division that is so crazy and hectic. This is the second of the 6 divisions, outlooks, and predictions, our second DOP, and I'm glad that you are joining. If you're new here and you like the podcast, please feel free to follow the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, for clicking on this episode, and let's dive on into the DOPs for the NL West. We start with a team that everyone is familiar with, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They last year finished 93-69. They were second in runs, they were second in OPS, and they were second in home runs as well. They were 5th in starter ERA and 1st in starter Ks per 9 and hits per 9, but they were 21st in relief ERA, but that didn't matter. They won their division and entered the postseason as the 3 seed. They were the worst division winner, but they easily beat the Reds in the wild card series 2-0, a quick sweep there. They then followed it up with a 3-1 series win in the NLDS against the Phillies before getting an easy sweep of the Brewers in the NLCS. That matchup was a joke, but they had to fight and earn their World Series ring against the Blue Jays. They took them to Game 7, but the Dodgers stay atop the champions. They win their back-to-back World Series champions. It's the first time we've seen a team go back-to-back since the 98 to 2000 Yankees. The Dodgers this year, they've got some competition there. They're looking to tie that record there, going back-to-back, winning a 3rd straight World Series. That is the goal if you are the Los Angeles Dodgers and this team, who is led by manager Dave Roberts in his 11th full season as the manager of the Dodgers. But if you're gonna go back to back, you're going to need a good damn team to do so, and that is exactly what the Dodgers have. They did lose members, though, such as Kirby Yates, Esteury Ruiz, Michael Conforto, Michael Kopech, Tony Gonsolin, and Austin Barnes, all who have been members of important Dodger teams in the past, but had little impact last year. They kept a lot of their guys. They have a lot of their guys on long-term contracts, but that doesn't mean you can't add some of them back. Because they did bring back Miguel Rojas, who was a postseason hero, World Series hero in his own rights. Evan Phillips and Kike Hernandez are 3 guys who were free agents that signed back with the Dodgers. They are also bringing on Santiago Espinal on a minor league deal. Maybe we see him. Andy Ibanez, he'll be around potentially. But the 2 big guys that they add, of course, Edwin Diaz to shore up that bullpen. And how about Kyle Tucker? Probably the biggest prize of the offseason. Where does he end up? On the Dodgers on a crazy contract. Those are 2 guys that the Dodgers are lucky to have, but is it at this point, is it even luck? Like, I have no idea. The rotation for the Dodgers is, of course, a very good one. Yoshinobu Yamamoto leads the way, the World Series MVP, followed up by Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Ohtani, Emmett Sheehan, listed as the 4 guy right now, and then Roki Sasaki rounds up the Dodgers rotation according to Fangraphs. Remind you, these are all according to Fangraphs. The lineup that is set: Shohei Ohtani, he leads off, he plays DH. Kyle Tucker is listed as the 2 in right field. Mookie Betts, the 3, now playing shortstop, or now playing, it's the 2nd full season of playing shortstop. Freddie Freeman, he's the first baseman, he bats 4th. Will Smith, the catcher, another World Series hero, batting 5th. Max Muncy, the 3rd baseman, bats 6th. Teoscar Hernandez behind him, batting 7th in left field. Andy Pajes, your center fielder, batting 8th, and Hai Seong Kim at second base. He bats 9th. The bench is as followed with Dalton Rushing, Alex Freeland, Miguel Rojas, and Alex Call listed as the 4 members there. The bullpen is full of guys you definitely know the names of, including, of course, Edwin Diaz, who we mentioned, Tanner Scott, who had a tough year last year, Alex Vesia, Blake Trinan, Jack Dreyer, Will Klein, and Justin Wroblewski are some notable names to know from that Dodgers pen. When you take a look at the IL, Brusdar Graterol, he is questionable for opening day, might not be there. Brock Stewart, another member of the bullpen who they picked up at the deadline, is questionable for opening day, as is Blake Snell, which is why he was not listed in the rotation and why Emmett Sheehan might get a chance to show his stuff early on this season. Tommy Edman is also questionable for opening day. He would be a big part for that Dodgers team. Evan Phillips, he lands on the 60-day IL. There's no timetable from him as he recovers from Tommy John. And then Kike Hernandez was on the 60-day IL as well. No timetable for him as well. Looking ahead into 2027, the Dodgers are going to have a couple of notable names hitting the market, including Blake Trinan, Evan Phillips, Miguel Rojas, Kike Hernandez, Alex Vesia, and Brusdar Graterol. So basically the guys who signed one-year contracts or a couple bullpen pieces that the Dodgers can easily replace or re-sign if they so choose. That is the Dodger way, of course. Let's move on now. Let's continue. Let's get through the San Diego Padres. That is right. The Padres finished 90-72, and that's why we play 162, because they only finished 3 games back of the Dodgers. They were up 7 games from the wild card line. They finished as the 5th seed overall from the NL entering the postseason. They were 18th in runs, 16th in starter ERA. They were first in relief ERA, WHIP, and hits per 9. That Padres bullpen was very, very good last year. They ended up playing the Cubs in the NL wild card. They took it to game 3, but they fall short in that game. The Cubs move on. The Padres, their postseason ended in 3 games, unfortunately. Mike Schultz was the manager of that Padres team, but no longer is new manager Craig Stammen. His first year as a manager, first year as a Padres manager, and he's got some work to do in a very tough NL West division. Who did the Padres lose? Because it is quite the list of guys here, including one of their aces in Dylan Cease. He is no longer in the picture. Ryan O'Hearn, not here. Robert Suarez, Luis Arias, Elias Diaz, Tyler Wade, Jose Iglesias, Jason Hayward, Yuli Gurriel, even though I don't remember him playing much last year, as well as Nestor Cortez Jr. So some notable names and some less than notable names in terms of recency in 2024 and 2025, etc. But the good thing is when you lose players, that means you can get players back. You get spots on your 40-man roster, and that's exactly what the Padres did. They are bringing in some guys, including Sung-Mun Song, Miguel Andujar, Griffin Canning, Herman Marquez, Nicholas Castellanos. They also brought back Michael King and Kyle Hart, 2 guys that were on the open market, re-sign with the Padres, which brings us to a rotation without Dylan Cease. Fangraphs has Michael King in the ace spot, with Nick Pivetta falling in at number 2. Joe Musgrove hopefully is healthy and ready for this season, because I miss watching Joe Musgrove pitch. He's one of my favorite pitchers. He is listed as the number 3. Randy Vasquez at the 4, and Herman Marquez, his first time not pitching for the Rockies. He will round up that Padres rotation. The lineup for the Padres has Xander Bogaerts leading things off. He plays shortstop. Jackson Merrill in center field. He bats second. Manny Machado, the third baseman, bats third. Fernando Tatis Jr., the face of the franchise, plays right field. He bats fourth. Jake Cronenworth, he will be playing second base, batting fifth. Ramon Laureano, they picked up at the deadline. He is a left fielder and bats sixth. Gavin Sheets, listed as the first baseman, batting 7th. Miguel Andujar, who they got this offseason, is the DH, listed batting 8th. And then Freddie Furman, the catcher, bats 9th. On the bench, Luis Campusano, backup catcher, maybe starting catcher, depending on how that goes. Nick Castellanos, outfielder, who's been having some spring training games at first base. Maybe will be an option for the Padres if he can play first. You got Sung Mun Song as well as Bryce Johnson. That is how the Padres bench rounds out. Which brings us to the bullpen that was oh so good last year. Will they be just as good? Hopefully, they have one of the best, if not the best, closer slash relief pitcher in the back end there. Mason Miller, the flamethrower, is how the Padres round their closer role now, I guess, without Robert Suarez there. They have the likes of Adrian Morion, Jason Adam, Jeremiah Estrada, Wandy Peralta, and Yuki Matsui as well. There's some notable bullpen pieces from the San Diego Padres. On the IL, you have Griffin Canning, who's questionable for opening day. They would love to have him in that rotation as soon as they can. The reason they went all pitcher heavy is because Yu Darvish was announced that he's going to be out for the year. That's a tough loss for the Padres. Also, Matt Waldron is questionable for opening day, the big knuckleballer, the guy who everybody knows in MLB The Show, of course. They also have Johnny Brito here, but he has no timetable. He's on the 60-day IL, so not sure when or if we will see him in the year of 2026. Of course, after 2026 will become 2027, where the Padres will have a few free agents available, such as Ramon Laureano, Nick Castellanos, Jason Adam, Adrian Morion. Michael King has a $28 million player option. I'd expect him to pick that up. Kyle Hart has a $2.5 million club option, which would be interesting there. Griffin Canning, a $5 million mutual option. And then Herman Marquez and Miguel Andujar are both also have mutual options, just don't know the price. But there are three guys from the Padres that will have mutual options. All three could be on the market if one side or the other decline that deal. That is what your San Diego Padres are looking like entering 2026, which brings us to the San Francisco Giants. That's right, the 81-81 San Francisco Giants last year, one of two teams that finished dead on 500 at 81 wins and 81 losses. They were 17th in runs, 17th in starter ERA. They were 4th in relief ERA, but how about this? They were first in framing. That's right, they've got some pretty good catches there. Going to be interesting to see how that continues with this ABS system that's coming into play. Will we have a team that will be like first in ABS, second in ABS? That'd be pretty cool. I digress. Anyways, the Giants finished 12 games back of the Dodgers for the NL West division, but only finished 2 games behind the final wild card spot. They were in that hunt towards the end of the season. And they're going to have a new hunt this season with a new manager in Tony Vitello. It's his first ever MLB season. He is with the San Francisco Giants, who did lose a couple of players, including Andrew Kinsner, Dominic Smith, Wilmer Flores, Scott Alexander, Tom Murphy, Joey Lacuzzi, and of course the future Hall of Famer in Justin Verlander. He is no longer there. They bring in some notable names, though. Tyler Mahle and Adrian Hauser, two dependable starting pitching options for the Giants there. They also buff up the bullpen a little bit. Sam Henches, Jason Foley, two guys coming over. They also bring in Harrison Bader and Luis Arias, including Will Brennan as well. So some options there in the field. The rotation for the Giants as they start 2026 would have Logan Webb, of course, the inning eater. He is the ace of that staff. He gets the 1. Robbie Ray is listed at the 2. Then you have the new guys, Tyler Mahle as the 3 and Adrian Hauser as the 4. Fangraphs has Landon Rope rounding up that rotation there. He would be the 5 spot there for the Giants. The lineup that San Francisco will be starting the year off with, according to Fangraphs, of course, second baseman Luis Arias, no longer playing first. He wants to play second. Is his defense going to be good enough? We will find out. They have him leading off with another left-handed hitter batting after him in Rafael Devers, listed at first base. We'll have to see how that conversation goes, but obviously with Matt Chapman at third, it makes sense that Devers would either be first or DH. They have Willy Adames batting third. He's the shortstop with Matt Chapman, the third baseman, batting fourth. Jung Ho Lee will be playing right field. He bats fifth with Helia Ramos on the other corner in left field, batting sixth. Center fielder is for Harrison Bader. He bats 7th in this lineup. Bryce Eldridge, the young kid, potential first base swap with Devers. He's listed as the DH, though. He bats 8th. And then Patrick Bailey, one of the best catchers, framing-wise, he is batting 9th with a bench that consists of Daniel Susek, Jair Encarnacion, Casey Schmidt, and Luis Matos. So there's some depth there from the Giants. In terms of their bullpen, I gotta say, I'm not too familiar with most of these guys. I do know a Ryan Walker, I do know an Eric Miller, and I do know a JT Brubaker from the Giants. Some other guys that I know are on the IL from the Giants, including Sam Henches, Jason Foley, and Randy Rodriguez. 3 guys who are on the IL. Henches questionable for opening day. Foley, he has no timetable. He's on the 60-day IL. Randy Rodriguez, same thing, 60-day IL, back from Tommy John, so he is questionable for this season. If we do see him, it will be late in the year. Rowan Wick, another guy on the IL. He's out for the season, though. He did get Tommy John late last year, so we probably will not see him at all this year. And he is one of the guys who's a potential free agent in 2027 for the Giants. He has an $800K club option. So just under $1 million there if the Giants want to keep him around. Other guys who will be free agents include Robbie Ray, his final year with the Giants. They also have Luis Arias, Tyler Mahle, and JT Brubaker, who are all going to be free agents. That is what the Giants are looking like for this season. That means we can continue on with the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's right, Diamondback fans, get ready because this is going to be an interesting year for you guys. You guys finished 80-82 last year, 1 game below 500. You guys were 6th in runs, 19th in starter ERA, 27th in relief ERA. You guys sold at the deadline but got hot late. You pushed for the wild card. You were in the mix with the Reds and the Mets fighting for that 3rd spot, but you finished the year on a 5-game losing streak. That's not great. They end up missing out in the postseason there. They finished 13 games behind the Dodgers for the division, and 3 games back of that final wild card. Does not help when you lose the last 5 games of this season. Torey Lovullo is still in charge of this team. He is entering his 10th season with the Diamondbacks. Good stuff there. They did lose a couple of names, including Jake McCarthy, Blaze Alexander, Kendall Graveman, Jalen Beeks, and Jordan Montgomery, who did not pitch last year. He last pitched in 2024. He is no longer a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks, but they are making some moves. They bring in Nolan Arenado. They bring in Merrill Kelly, who they traded at the deadline to the Rangers. They bring him back. Michael Soroka, he signs Taylor Clark, Jonathan Loizaga, Carlos Santana, Cade Stroud, Paul Sewald. They also brought back James McCann, Eldemaro Vargas, and of course, Zach Gallen. People were wondering where he was going to sign. He ends up back on the 1-year deal. Basically, the qualifying offer that he didn't take originally, but then took towards the end of the offseason here. And with that, the rotation still has Zach Gallen listed as the ace. He is still in charge of this Diamondback staff. Ryan Nelson listed as the 2, Eduardo Rodriguez the 3, Brandon Pfaadt the 4, Michael Soroka the 5. The lineup for the Diamondbacks has Geraldo Perdomo, the shortstop, batting 1st. Ketel Marte at second base, bats 2nd. Corbin Carroll, right fielder, he bats 3rd. Gabriel Moreno, the catcher, bats 4th. Pavin Smith, listed as the DH, batting 5th, followed by Nolan Arenado, the new Diamondbacks 3rd baseman. With Carlos Santana, the first baseman, he bats 7th, and he is at first base, as I mentioned there. Jordan Lawler, he was a shortstop prospect for the Diamondbacks for years. He is now listed as a center field option for Arizona, batting 8th, with Alek Thomas moving over to left field, batting 9th. We'll see if Lawler will handle the outfield transition well, as Fangraphs is listed here. The bench for the Diamondbacks, James McCann, Tim Tawa, Ildemaro Vargas, who is on a non-roster invitee deal but is listed as part of the bench, as well as Jorge Barrosa. That is your Diamondbacks bench there. The bullpen still has the notable names from their 2023 World Series run, including Kevin Ginkel, bringing back Paul Sewald. Ryan Thompson is still around. They have Dre Jamison, Cade Stroud they brought over there, as well as Jonathan Loizica is listed as a member of the bullpen. He's on a non-roster invitee spring training deal as well. The IL for the Diamondbacks is probably one of the bigger ones entering opening day. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., he's going to be out till July at the earliest. He injured himself back in September, would be out 9 to 10 months from that point on, so you'll see him June, July there. Tyler Locklear, he's out till at least mid-May. Morel Kelly, he's going to miss opening day. He's probably going to come back early in the year, but will miss a couple starts probably. And then you've got some big names here who went out with Tommy John last year, including Corbin Burns. He's going to be out till at least mid-July on the 60-day IL with Tommy John. Justin Martinez, one of the big members of that Diamondbacks bullpen right now, he's out till at least August on the 60-day IL with Tommy John recovery. AJ Puk, another member of the bullpen, out until at least June. 60-day IL for him as well with Tommy John. Andrew Salfrank, he's going to be out for the season for sure. So you've got three guys, Tommy John, who are all coming back around different times. AJ Puk should be first, followed by Corbin Burns, followed by Martinez, but this will all be happening June and onward. No Andrew Salfrank this season. A lot of ILs for the Diamondbacks. It's going to be tough, especially on the pitching front, for them to recover. For next year's free agents class for the Diamondbacks, Zach Allen, of course, the one-year deal. He'll be back on the market. James McCann, Taylor Clark, Paul Sewald, Ryan Thompson, AJ Puk, Kevin Ginkel are all going to be free agents. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., he's got a $14 million club option. Michael Soroka has a $10 million mutual option. And then Carl Santana also has a undetermined amount, but it is a mutual option there. So some other guys who could end up back on the market into 2027. But a lot of that Diamondbacks bullpen, guys who are coming back from Tommy John, and guys who are part of that big 2023 World Series run. Kevin Ginkel, Ryan Thompson, two guys that stand out from that season and that World Series run. They're also going to be free agents in 2027. So some names there. And now we'll get into the last team, the Colorado Rockies. And it was a tough year. The Colorado Rockies, well, they finished 43 and 119. They were 29th in runs. They were 30th in starter ERA, starter whip, starter Ks per 9, starters hit per 9, and starters home runs per 9. They're also 29th in relief ERA. All of that means that they were not a good team, in case you couldn't figure that out. They finished a whopping 50 games behind the Dodgers for the division and a whopping 40 games of the final wildcard spot. They could have gone on a 20-game winning streak, and it would not have made a difference from finishing last in all of baseball. They will have a somewhat new manager. I'm going to say Warren Schaefer. It's going to be his first full season as the Colorado Rockies manager. He took over midway last year as interim manager from Buddy Black, who was let go by the Rockies. Who they let go this year in terms of players include Orlando Arcia, Warming Bernabel, who had a couple nice moments for them last year, Ryan Rawlson, Herman Marquez, Thiero Estrada, Austin Gomber, and Kyle Farmer, all no longer there. Who they brought in include Jake McCarthy, Willie Castro, Troy Johnston, Eduardo Julian, Michael Lorenzen, Brennan Bernardino, Keegan Thompson, Jose Quintana, Tomoyuki Sagano. So some new names here for Colorado. Let's see how much of a difference it makes in 2026. The rotation they have will feature Kyle Freeland, the ace of that staff, followed up by some of the new guys. Michael Lorenzen is listed as the 2, Jose Quintana the 3, Chase Dollander will be the 4th guy, and then Tomoyuki Sugano is listed as the 5th starter there. The Rockies lineup will have Jake McCarthy in left field batting first, Ezekiel Tovar, the shortstop, batting second, Hunter Goodman, catcher, bats third. He had a fantastic year last year. Mickey Moniak listed as the DH batting 4th. Jordan Beck out there in right field batting 5th. Willie Castro, the third baseman, will bat 6th. Brenton Doyle, center fielder, he bats 7th with Troy Johnson at first base batting 8th and Eduardo Julien at second base batting 9th. The bench will have Braxton Fulford, Blaine Krim, Ryan Ritter, and Tyler Freeman as members of that Rockies bench there. The bullpen will feature names such as Victor Vodnik, Jimmy Hergert, Brennan Bernardino, Keegan Thompson, and of course Antonio Sensatella, who's been a part of the Rockies organization since 2011. He signed out of Venezuela, joined the Rockies that year, and it's been 15 years as a member of the Rockies. Of course, not all at the major league level, but he has shown his loyalty to a very, a Rockies team that's usually not the best team in the league. In terms of the IL, they only have one notable name, and it is Chris Bryant, who has no timetable. He was placed on the 60-day IL, so who knows when we'll see him, if at all, in 2026, which brings us to their free agents in the year of 2027. Some of the one-year deals they have: Jose Quintana and Tomoyuki Sugano would be back on the market. Antonio Sensatella, the guy I talked about since being with the organization since 2011, he has a $14 million club option. That's kind of high. We might see the Rockies decline that, and who knows from there. Michael Lorenzen has a $9 million club option. And then Kyle Freeland has a $17 million vesting option. It will vest for 170 innings. So if Freeland can throw more than 170, he will be with the Rockies next year and earn that $17 million deal. If he has less than 170 innings pitched, the Rockies can choose to give him that $17 million contract, or he will hit the free agent market. He's been around since I think 2014. He was a first-round pick, if I'm correct. I know he was a first-round pick for the Rockies, but I'm not sure if it was 14 or later than that. But regardless, that is your Colorado Rockies. So let's talk about the NL West outlook here. Let's stay on the Rockies. Why don't you? Because they're kind of quick to do. You guys finished 43 and 119. And if we're being honest, the ceiling for you guys, the best case scenario for the Rockies, is finishing 5th in the division. You're not going to get any higher than that. Tough luck. Do your best to not lose 100 games. That should be the win. If the Rockies can win 63 games, you would happily take that. That's the goal if you're Colorado this year. 63. I mean, 43 wins, it's really not a lot of wins when you think about it. Hey, the props to them for not breaking the White Sox record, which they broke in 2024. Thankfully, the Rockies didn't immediately break that record again the following year. They were able to win, 3-4 more games more than the White Sox did. But still, you don't want to be in that position. And it's going to be tough. You know, you're in the NL West where, I mean, outside of the Dodgers, there is a dogfight for second place and potentially that team that could maybe compete against the Dodgers for the division this year. You know, the Padres, Giants, and Diamondbacks, you could all muck them into that same category of really good team with high upside, but in a division like the NL West, they could finish 4th. I mean, realistically, when we're going to look at our division predictions, you'll have the Dodgers at 1, Rockies at 5, and the other 3 are interchangeable. Similar to what I did with the AL East division, where I think all 5 could be interchangeable. This has a little bit more Dodgers supremacy, Rockies trash. Now you have your mix. So for the Rockies, yes, it's going to be a tough year. You know, you have a beautiful ballpark. Your fans love to show up so that you can still have an exciting, fun year with great moments throughout the regular season. But that will also be filled with losses and losses and losses. Just don't lose 100. You know, that should be the win, right? I mean, yes, if you win, let's say 50 games, right? You still lose 112 games. That's still a lot, but it is better than what you did in 2025. I think you should shoot for 63 wins, but, you know, do your best. You know, I think it's going to be a tough year for Colorado as a whole. We'll flip it from the Rockies to the Dodgers, who had 50 more wins than the Rockies this year. Listen, Dodgers, you guys are in a great position because you're coming off back-to-back World Series titles. You have a very good team that got better by bringing in Edwin Diaz and Kyle Tucker. And personally, I think that it's going to be similar to what we saw last year, where the Dodgers will just play the games. They really don't have to try. They really don't have to care. They're going to just go out there, give it their effort. The main thing will be staying healthy. The Dave Roberts kind of has been around long enough. He's, won now 3 World Series titles with the Dodgers. He knows what to do come the postseason, come the end of the season, making sure guys are rested, making sure guys are healthy, because that is the last thing that the Dodgers need is to get to October baseball and have Ohtani on the IL, have Freeman on the IL, so it'll be about Dave Roberts, how he manages his team throughout the season, obviously needing enough wins to win the division. Obviously they would prefer to maybe not play in the wild card series like they did last year. Not that it mattered, because like I said, the Dodgers before the World Series against the Blue Jays, they swept the Reds, they swept the Brewers. They only lost 1 game before going to the World Series. That was 1 game against the Cubs. Everything else, it was Dodgers, 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 and that's exactly what they're going to look for. And for those of you out there being like, oh, the Dodgers ruined baseball, all this spending, I can understand the perspective and I understand where you guys come from. But again, I still believe in the Padres. I still believe in the Giants and Diamondbacks to give the Dodgers a run for the money. The reason why we play 162 games is because we don't know what will happen in those games. We don't know who will get hot, who will get hurt. We don't know any of that stuff. And the Padres, yes, they lost in the wild card round. Yes, it was a very, quick, abrupt end to their season. But for a majority of the season, they were staying competitive with the Dodgers. Only finished 3 games out. The Dodgers weren't even close to 100 wins. Heck, the Dodgers finished behind the Brewers and the Phillies. So it is important that you play these games. And anything can happen. So while, yes, a lot of people will pick the Dodgers to win the division, and that is the smart and logical thing to do. It still is up for grabs, and we still got to play these games. And like I said, any of these 3 teams are very good. Let's talk about the Padres, who I did mention finished just 3 games back of the Dodgers. It's tough when you lose Robert Suarez. It's tough when you lose Dylan Cease. Like, those are names that do hurt in the long run. Yes, you lost Yu Darvish. He's out for the year. You still have a good rotation of Michael King, Nick Pivetta, and Musgrove, etc. And you have guys like Tatis and Manny Machado who can go out there and have a fantastic year. I mean, Nick Castellanos, you got him on league minimum right now, so he is just like a freebie at this point. You can see what he has. He can be that guy again, that Reds all-star type of player, just because the last couple of years with Philly haven't been all that great. He still has a pretty good bat, especially against lefties. And at Petco Park, he can be an advantage there. Xander Bogaerts, I feel like he gets more and more comfortable with the Padres each year he's been there. Jake Cronenworth, he's a Padres guy. I love Jake Cronenworth. I think he's a great ball player. And again, when you look at the managers, I mean, we have 2 new managers in these 3 teams, in Craig Stammen for the Padres and Tony Vitello from the Giants. And I think that's going to be a big role. And even now, Torey Lovullo with Diamondbacks, like, he's been around. He knows what's worked. He's beaten the Dodgers. They beat him in the NLDS back in 2023 when they went to the World Series. They beat the Phillies. Like, that was an impressive year. Tony Lovullo and that Diamondbacks team did do it. They just need to run it back and have a consistent year. I think part of the reason the Diamondbacks they fall in and out of postseason contention a lot in these last couple of years is because they aren't able to stay consistent. And I mean, you're going to have another year of Corbin Carroll, who I feel like just gets better and better. I think he's one of the top players in the league right now. Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo. You bring in Nolan Arenado. I mean, Nolan Arenado is one of those players that deserves a ring, right? Go get it for him. Like, I do like this Diamondbacks team. It sucks not having Lourdes Gurriel Jr. out for a little bit. It sucks not having Corbin Burns. But if the Diamondbacks can stay, in the hunt for a wild card, maybe even the division, when you get to the All-Star break, those are big reinforcements. We talk about, who you add at the trade deadline could make and break a postseason run, World Series run, whatever. You're getting your own additions come that time. You're going to bring in Lourdes Gurriel Jr. He's going to be an asset. You're going to bring in Corbin Burns. When Corbin Burns comes back, the trio of Corbin Burnes, Zach Gallen, and Merrill Kelly, that could be a deadly trio rotation for anyone when they get to a postseason series. So having Corbin Burnes, having Justin Martinez and AJ Puck, these guys who they're coming back from injury, those are going to be assets that the Diamondbacks will be able to use. As I mentioned, that trio of rotation, it is important to talk about Zach Gallen, who had a very tough year. And it sucks that that was his contract year, his walk year. Because if he had a year like he had the last 2-3 years, I mean, this guy could have gotten a 6-year, $200+ million deal somewhere. Instead, ends up back on the Diamondbacks, the 1-year, $20-something million deal. I think we're all looking at him to have that kind of bounce back resurgence to the Zach Gallen that we have become so accustomed to seeing in the last couple of years. I think the year that we saw last year was a fluke. I'm expecting a pretty big bounce back from Zach Gallen. I think his stock is low. I think people should buy into him. He is going to be a good player. If you're playing fantasy and you get to like the end of the rounds of your draft and he's still an option, look at Zach Gallen because he is going to bounce back. And I think Ryan Nelson and Brandon Pfaadt, these are other guys that can supplement this rotation. I'm thinking Arizona is going to have a big year. If they can just get out early, get out consistently, get some wins here and there. If they don't fall into like a 5-6 game losing streak early in the season, Diamondbacks can stay competitive. The big games that will matter will, of course, be the division games between these teams because, like I said, between second and fourth, the Giants, Padres, and Diamondbacks, you can say any one of these teams. I mean, you go the last couple of years, last 5 years. Remember 2021 where the Giants beat out the Dodgers in the division by winning 107 games? Like, that feels like a fever dream at this point. The Diamondbacks, of course, beat them out in 2023. And the Padres, they've beaten them out a couple times, 2022, 2021 as well. Like, there's been some years where the Padres can outclass the big brother. It will be a dogfight here, but it is up for grabs between any of these three teams. I think the Giants are an interesting team in terms of their additions because you're bringing in Tyler Mahle and Adrian Hauser. Yeah, you kind of stabilize the rotation a little bit with some veteran presence, nothing that goes above and beyond, but these are the guys that can go out, eat some innings. For me, I look at that bullpen that was pretty good last year. Again, 4th in relief ERA last year. I look at it now and like I said, I don't really recognize a lot of the names. That doesn't mean that those aren't names that I will learn to recognize and this Giants bullpen will be very good. But I look at that IL and I know Sam Hentges, I know Jason Foley, I know Randy Rodriguez. Those are some pretty good arms to not have for the season or whenever they come back. I'm not sure how Rafael Devers in his first full season as a Giants will play. He definitely wasn't the Rafael Devers we had seen before with the Red Sox when he did come over. But it was a pretty crazy deal and a crazy big moment. So who knows how Devers will actually end up performing in that first full season. Luis Arias, he said he wants to play second base. Giants are giving him that opportunity. That's why he signed here. How will the defense go? I mean, when I look at the Giants infield, you've got Matt Chapman and Willie Adames, guys who have won gold gloves and platinum gloves. And then you have Luis Arias and Rafael Devers. It's like a tale of two sides of the defense. And then how does the outfield look with Bader, Heliot Ramos, Jung-Ho Lee? It's going to be very interesting for the Giants. They're definitely more of the curveball. Like, I feel like the Padres, they know what to do. They focus on the Dodgers. They got to handle, obviously, the Diamondbacks and the Giants and the Rockies. I mean, if you want to come second in this division, those games against the Rockies will matter. Colorado, again, they don't want to lose 120 games again this season, right? They're going to try to win ball games. That's, of course, what you should be doing regardless. But, if you are in this division and, the Diamondbacks, Giants, and Padres are all close for second place, the games against the Rockies, that could determine who ends up at second, who ends up at third. So, I mean, there are important games to matter here. I think that all 4 of these teams, outside of course, the Rockies, could have a postseason chance entering 2026. So it's going to be a very exciting year for the NL West. And like I said, one of these teams will have the opportunity to maybe battle the Dodgers for the division. So, I mean, having a strong start to the year, being able to sustain through the dog days of summer, This is going to be a battle division. This is a very good division. I'm very excited to see how the outcomes will play out between specifically the Giants, Diamondbacks, and Dodgers, or Giants, Diamondbacks, and Padres, because, like I said, I think they're all pretty similar in their team builds and how they're built and how they want to win ball games. So that's what I'm looking forward to. In terms of my NL West division predictions, as I mentioned, it's quite easy to say that I think the Dodgers will finish first. I hope not. I hope that one of these teams can challenge the Dodgers and take that division title away from them. But the logic will say, hey, the Dodgers have Ohtani and Betts and Freeman and Tucker and Smith, etc., etc., etc. They will win the division. It's very easy to say, hey, the Rockies have exactly, and then they'll finish fifth in the division. The real question, though, is second, third, and fourth between the Diamondbacks, Padres, and Giants. As I've been saying, who do I believe has that best chance to kind of step out above the other two teams, right? That's what I'm looking at here. So when I look at rotations, I look at lineups, like the Padres lineup is very good. You know, Tatis and Machado and Bogarts and Cronenworth and Jackson Merrill, who I didn't even mention, he could be a real key piece. For me, the rotation gets a little bit more nerve-wracking. Joe Musgrove coming off of a major injury. Nick Pivetta, I thought, had a surprisingly good year last year for his standards. Not sure if he'll be able to repeat that. No Yu Darvish, that's a guy who eats innings, who pitches quality starts for them. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. Plus, they did lose Dylan Cease. For the Giants, and like I said, they didn't make any crazy big additions in terms of their offseason. I mean, Harrison Bader is probably the best add. Maybe Tyler Mahle. He had a pretty couple good starts with the Rangers last year. And again, Devers, how does he go? Willie Adames, Chapman. Like, there are some notable names, guys who will contribute for the Giants. For the Diamondbacks, though, I gotta say, I like the addition of Nolan Arenado. I like bringing back Merrill Kelly. I like adding Michael Soroka. You strengthen the bullpen with Cade Stroud and Paul Seaworld. You move Lawler to the outfield. I think that could work for him. You bring in Carlos Santana, a veteran presence who knows the game well. Geraldo Perdomo is very good. And I like the idea that at the deadline or around like July and everything, they're going to get Corbin Burns back. They're going to get AJ Puck back. They're going to get Justin Martinez back. And by the way, I believe in the Zach Gallen bounce back. That is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. So for the rest of the division, I have the Arizona Diamondbacks finishing second behind the Dodgers. I have the Padres coming in third, and the Giants I have finishing fourth. That is what my predictions are for the NL West. Dodgers 1, Diamondbacks 2, Padres 3, Giants 4, and Rockies 5. That will now bring us to the over and under for these teams. Now, the NL West champion Dodgers, of course, the World Series champions. According to FanDuel, their over-under is at 103 games, 103 and a half. Do I really think the Dodgers can win 104 games? Absolutely. But do I believe in baseball, and do I believe in injuries and guys who can get hot and some crazy random losing streak in the middle of June? 100%. I'm taking the under. The Dodgers might win 100 games, but winning 104, I mean, I don't care if they have the 26 best players in all of baseball. That's still hard to do. Take the under on the Dodgers. The Padres at 83 and a half. I have them coming in third. And I think they could maybe fight in that wild card again, finishing around that 87, 88 win mark. I'm going to take the over on the Padres. The Giants are at 80 and a half. And I look at this season, and like I said, they finished exactly dead 500 at 81 and 81. Basically, if I take the over, I'm saying they're going to at least do that again. And when I look at the team, I don't think they got worse. I don't think losing Justin Verlander makes them a worse team. I don't know if Adrian Hauser and Tyler Mahle makes them a better team. Do I think they're going to win 80 or less games? No. I think they'll come fourth in division, but I think they'll come like 82 wins, something like that. I'm going to take the over on the Giants. The Diamondbacks are listed at 79 and a half. I find that surprisingly low. I will easily take the over on the Diamondbacks. I believe in Arizona. The Rockies, 55 and a half. I know I said the goal should be 62 wins, 63 wins to have 99 losses. That should be the goal of the Rockies, and that's what I want them to do. I want the Rockies to win 63 games. But I think the Dodgers are very good. I think the Padres will be very good. I think the Giants will be very good. I think the Diamondbacks will be very good. I think these teams, I said they should beat the Rockies. I think they will. Yes, I think baseball will baseball and the Rockies will have some fluky wins against these teams. But I mean, you play them 11 times. That's what, 44 games against these four teams? The Rockies would be lucky to win 5. That's my mindset. I think that these teams should be going 9-2, 10-1 against the Dodgers. That doesn't lead to 56 wins. So unfortunately for the Rockies, even though I think they will do better than 43 wins, I don't know if they're good enough for 56. I'm going to take the under on the Rockies. So to summarize, Dodgers get the under at 103.5. Rockies get the under at 55.5, while the Padres, Giants, and Diamondbacks will all get the over. Padres 83.5, Giants 80.5, Diamondbacks 80.5. And boy, do I love doing these DOPs here. But man, does it kill my voice because I do it all in one sitting and one take, and I hope that that comes across in the effort and the work that I put in for you guys here. The DOPs, episode 2 of the DOPs, the NL West is coming to an end. I appreciate you guys for coming in, listening to my predictions. If you think that I'm wrong, if you don't believe in the Zach Gallen bounce back, if you don't believe in the Diamondbacks, if you believe the Rockies are going to win 70 games or something, let me know in the comments, whether on YouTube or Spotify. Reach out on Twitter, etc. Everything you can find will be in the links in the descriptions, of course. Let me know your takes. I want to hear from you. The NL West Division, is it really up for grabs, or are the Dodgers going to run away with it? Who can stop the big bad wolf? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you everybody so much. This has been the second DOP.